So I've just arrived at my syndicate. I've got 48 hours ahead of me, and it's the beginning of September, which for me is really the start of autumn. Although technically it's still the end of summer, the light levels are changing, it's getting cooler, and when I left home at 6 o'clock this morning from the Isle of Wight, it was only 10 degrees when I got in the car, so it's definitely cooling down. Hopefully the fish are waking up and getting in the mood for a munch, ready for winter. So we're going to have a walk around the lake, get set up, and then I'm going to talk you through autumn tactics, and hopefully I'll be able to show you a couple of carp over the next couple of days. So what are we looking for when we walk around a lake? Well, obviously, whatever time of year, you're looking for fish and signs of fish, and I haven't got very far around the lake, and I'm stood in like the second swim along, and I'm seeing fizzing out in the open water and a little bit off the pads on the near side here as well. So I think my mind's almost made up where I'm going to go, but I just thought I'd let you guys know kind of my thought process when I arrive at a lake. Whether I've been here before or whether it's my first time at the lake, I'm always looking for fish. Kind of obvious, but it's worth saying, you know, if you're not where the fish are, you've got very little chance of catching them. So I've seen fizzing in this area and a little bit of activity, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to go in this swim here. So I'm going to put my rucksack down to reserve the swim. I'll go get my gear, I'll get set up, and then I'll talk you through what I'm using in terms of end tackle and bait. Right, so I've gone for a lead clip setup on this session, mostly because I'm going to be fishing sort of in and around silt pockets really, and it's a good tip in the autumn to look for these areas because that's where the natural food lives, and at this time of year the carp know that the natural food is going to gradually be depleted towards winter, so they start coming in to harvest what's left of the bloodworm and any other sort of insects and larvae and stuff that are living in that silt. So having a lead clip allows the lead to plug in a little bit and your line will still sit above it. I quite like fishing inlines on harder spots because I think it gives you a better hooking potential because the fish gets in contact with the lead a lot quicker, but if the lead plugs in, it gives you that same effect. But with a lead clip, it allows you to dump the lead. Now I am going to be fishing up to pads and things on this session, so I do want to lose that lead just so I've got the best chance of landing the fish should I be lucky enough to hook one. So yeah, lead clip set up like that, and in a sec I'm going to show you the rig. Right, so onto the rig for the session then. I've decided to go with my old favourite Withy Pool rig. It basically does the same job as any other pop-up rig really. You've got a nice curved upright section there which I achieve with a bit of shrink tube, and then I've got some strippable coated braid, that's a semi-stiff one in £20, and you've got that sort of boom section there which kicks it away from the lead, so a bit like a stiff hinge rig really, but it's a bit easier to tie, and because you've got a shrink tube for your upright section, it keeps its shape a lot better. Sometimes with a hinge stiff it can get a bit twisted, so I like that, nice and consistent, really easy to tie, and it absolutely nails them. And what I've got there is one of our Klinger SP hooks, that's a straight point one, and it's the first time I've used these, but I can tell already they're going to be absolutely lethal because they're nice wide gapes. So you've got a curved shank, which is what you want really for a withy pool rig, but you've got a really wide gape, so there's plenty of hook on show there which can catch the flesh of the fish's mouth as soon as it sucks it in. So that's the rig, and then the hook bait is a mainline match the hatch cell pop-up. This time of year in autumn, the fish have been hammered on pop-ups all year really, bright ones I mean, and you know, they might be wary of a yellow or a pink or something like that. If I'm feeding cell into the lake and the fish are coming in to eat that, at this time of year I want a hook bait that kind of matches it as well as I can. So the colour is important. The fact that it's a pop-up is basically because there's a lot of leaves and bits and bobs on the bottom, and I want this to just sit nicely above the lake bed so it is available to the fish really. If it's down on the bottom and it's in a load of muck, it could very easily get hooked up on a leaf and you're out of the game. So having a pop-up just allows you to present over a bit of a dirty bottom, if you pardon the expression. My feed scenario for this session is a spread of boilies, so a pop-up, I wouldn't like to fish that over a tight patch of bait where the fish are coming in and they're kind of hoovering on the spot, but when they're moving between baits that's kind of spread around, a pop-up is less kind of obvious to them, and they kind of come over and they're just sucking and blowing at everything they can see, little round balls, you know, and that kind of matches that, and it's the same colour as well. So yeah, that's my hook bait, that's my rig. So I need to get these wrapped up now and clipped up and get them out in the pond, and then a little bit later on this evening I'll give you an update before it gets dark, and hopefully we'll have a few fish to show you before it gets light in the morning. So I've got all the rods out now, and basically what I've done is gone for 3 spots that allow me to cover the pads, because on this lake the fish very obviously are going to travel in and around the pads, basically because it feels safe for them, but also, you know, natural food lives in there, and they will venture out into the open water looking for those kind of natural food beds. But at the moment I've not really seen anything to go on that makes me want to fish in the open water. But if I start seeing fish show, or I see fizzing maybe in the morning or something like that, then I might move one of my rods onto that area. But for now I'm just sticking to the pads because it's still sort of warm, the water's still warm. I don't think they're going to be gravitating towards those winter areas yet in the sort of open water, in the deeper water. They're still going to be patrolling the margins and looking for any angler's bait that might have been here from a previous session or something like that. So yeah, 3 rods on the pads for now. And the bait approach, as I said earlier, is just boilies really. So I've got mainline cell and link, and I'm fishing cell on 2 spots and link on another spot, just to kind of put them against each other and see which one is more successful really. I've caught on both before. Sellers is obviously an old favourite, and I'm just sort of getting into the link and just giving that a go as well. This time of year the fish are sort of looking for a lot of nutrition, because obviously they've gone through spawning a couple of months ago. They're trying to put on the weight for winter where food's a bit more scarce, so they try and put on a bit of extra weight to carry them through the winter. So boilies are really good, high nutrition, and the fish know that, and they will gorge themselves on them at this time of year, so you can get away with a little bit more bait. I like to spread it around a bit and fish those pop-ups in amongst it to keep the fish moving, give you a much better chance of a decent hook hold if a fish comes and feeds on your spot. So yeah, looks like the weather's about to turn in a minute. It's gone a bit darker, we've got dark skies, so I'm going to get my camera inside and have a bit of shelter and chill out for a bit. Right, so that is everything done now really. Bait's out, rods are out, and it's just stopped raining after the mother of all storms. There was even a bit of hail in there, which you wouldn't expect to see in September. There's definitely a chill in the air. I've got a few extra layers on now, and there was a mist rising off the lake a minute ago. It was really atmospheric. And behind me, round this way, you'll see a really cool bit of light coming through the trees there. It's a real sort of atmospheric evening down here, and I'm hoping that means something special is going to happen. It feels pretty special anyway, just nice to be down here, but we need a carp now, don't we? So yeah, I'm going to put the camera away for the day now. It's going to be dark in the next hour or so, and just have a little chill out for the evening, keep an eye on the water, and if I see any fish, I'll hopefully be able to move a rod onto them and catch one fairly quickly, but we'll have to wait and see. So yeah, I'll keep you updated. I'll show you any fish through the night, and I'll speak to you in the morning. Right then, it's about 7 o'clock in the morning, and I have to say I was pretty freezing cold last night. I was not expecting that. It got really still and went really foggy as well. And for me, fog is an absolute kiss of death when it comes to trying to catch carp. I don't know what it is. Perhaps you can let us know in the comments if you've had similar experiences, but whenever I get fog, particularly overnight, I really struggle to catch. So yeah, nothing's happened unfortunately, but this morning I've seen a little bit of fizzing out in the open water, so I've just wound in my right hand rod and chucked out a single to it in that area where there's a bit of fizz. It's quite hard to see with the fog, but there's definitely little patches of bubbles out there, so I've got a single out in that area now, and the other two rods are still on the same spots where I put them out yesterday. But yeah, there's not really anything to go on at the moment that's making me want to move. I've not heard any fish show. It's been really quiet, and it's not surprising with the cold conditions really. So yeah, I'm just going to have a brew, get myself warmed up, and try and work out what I'm going to do for the rest of the session. I've got 24 hours left now, so fingers crossed I can make something happen. Right, so as expected, after that clear night and foggy kind of conditions last night, it's turned into a really clear, warm, still day today, which makes really hard conditions, and unfortunately nothing's happened so far. I did see a bit of fizzing out in the open water and chuck a single at it this morning, but nothing came of that. And I had a little drop back on my left hand rod with a little bit of fizzing near it, but nothing came of that either. So I'm going to have a little walk around. I've just wound my rods in, you might see down there. And I'm going to go and see if I can find any fish. If I don't see anything, I'm probably going to stick it out here because I did see a little bit of activity, but I just don't think the fish are really feeding all that hard because of the sort of up and down temperatures really. So it can be tricky this time of year. If the conditions aren't right, it can be really, really good in sort of windy, kind of stormy conditions, but if it's like this and you've got kind of fog and clear skies, it can be really hard. So no point sitting there, not catching and not doing anything. I'm going to have a look around, see if I can see an opportunity somewhere else. If not, I'll get the rods refreshed and back out for the night. So stick with me, guys. I'm doing all I can and I'm going to go and try and find some fish. Right, so I've had a full lap of the lake, well, down one side and then back and then down the other side. And I've only seen one fish on the whole circuit, and it was only a little sort of 10-pounder or something like that on the surface down the far end, so not enough to move on really. I can't ignore that activity out in the open water that I saw in the fog this morning. There was plenty of fizzing out there. It looked like a little patch of fish just grazing on the natural food. So I've got one of our marker leads here, a 3-ounce one, and I'm just going to have a little lead around and see if there's any clear areas out there that I can present a bait. And I'm going to move one of my rods tonight out into that open water area because I think I said at the start of the video it's worth investigating the open water, finding the natural food louders because the fish will be harvesting them at this time of year. So it goes down with quite a nice drop out there, and it was a bit sticky at first, but now it's gone into smooth. So I've just clipped it up a couple of turns shorter, and I'll have another go and see if I can find that smooth area again. And if it is smooth out there, then I'm going to give them a hit of bait, about 1 kilo or so, and fish over the top of that, because if they come back where they were this morning, then I've got a good chance of a fish first light tomorrow. Yeah, nice and clear out there. So I'm going to put a marker float on now, cast it out there, pop it up, and then put some bait over it. And then I'm going to get one of my rigs wrapped up to the same distance and cast that out there. And then that is trap set. I'm going to be leaving that until I leave tomorrow. So hopefully a little change of tactics is going to bring on the results. Right, so that's everything done. It's been a bit of a day of struggles really. I sort of thought, well, I'll wind in and have a walk around and find some fish and move. Couldn't find anything. We've had on and off rain as well, which has made everything a little bit difficult, especially with the filming. So I've decided to stay put in the swim that I fished last night. There was definitely a bit of activity here. I just didn't quite pinpoint where the fish were feeding when I got my rods out yesterday. But having 24 hours kind of experience in the swim during the session has given me ideas of where to put my rods now. So I've moved one off the pads and into that open water area, like I said, where I'd seen the fizzing in the fog this morning. And I found a nice smooth area with the marker lead, and I've just put a decent amount of bait, maybe sort of 2/3 of a kilo of bait out there with a pop-up over the top of that. And it is, you know, a classic kind of autumn tactic, finding that sort of feeding area in the open water. It's a little bit deeper there as well. It's about 8 foot, whereas near the pads is sort of 5 foot. So it's a bit of a deeper depression, and probably some natural food collected in there, and the fish were fizzing there. So yeah, bit of bait there, got a rod there, and then my right hand rod I've actually moved around the corner on the pads a little bit. Where I was fishing off the edge of them, I've come in a bit closer where I'd seen some fizzing yesterday. The ducks have been a bit of a pain on that one. Diving where I've put the bait, so I'm going to have to bait that one up just after dark, I think. And my other rod is back over on the far side on the pads where I caught a fish last time I was here. So I'm fairly confident in all 3 spots now. I've just got a little bit of baiting up to do and then everything's done. So yeah, hopefully this next sort of night it's going to turn around. If it stays a bit cloudy like it is now, it might be a little bit warmer, and that might just keep the fish kind of rooting around that a little bit longer, enough to pick up a couple. So we'll have to keep everything crossed. We've only got tonight left, so let's hope we can turn it around. Well, I've just got an absolute soaking. The left-hand rod is finally gone, and we've got ourselves a carp, just sulking in the net, waiting for photos, but it is peeing down with rain out there, so I'm going to have to wait a little while before I can get the cameras outside and show you the fish. But yeah, I'm so happy because it's been a bit of a struggle on this session. And that little bit of work earlier on, just kind of trying to pinpoint where the fish were going to feed, keeping an eye on the water, watching for fizzing and all that has really paid off. And we've finally got one. So yeah, it's a real relief. But yeah, we better get the fish out and show you and get the rod out as soon as possible, because there's plenty of time for more fish. But yeah, I'm really happy with that. Come on. Right, here we go. Not the biggest fish in the lake, I have to say. But it's, you know, about an upper double, I would say, probably 17 pounds, something like that. And it's really angry, it keeps sticking its dorsal fin up. I think this must be one of the new ones they probably put in last year. Gorgeous fish, nice linear scales on it, and definitely one for the future. So yeah, let's get this fish back and get that rod back out, because I'm rather hoping I was just saying, I'm rather hoping I might get another one before I have to go tomorrow morning. Well, it's another foggy, still morning and a really cold night again last night. So conditions have really been against me on this session. It just shows you at any time of year really, if the conditions aren't right, the fish don't always play ball. I was really lucky to have that nice linear yesterday. So I'm absolutely over the moon that I haven't blanked on this session, but I would have liked to have shown you a few more fish, but there's been nothing through the night. Just a single bleep on the middle rod, which was the one out in open water, and that was it. And it did have me on the edge of the bed chair thinking maybe it was going to happen, but yeah, it hasn't, and it's not been active in the open water this morning like it was yesterday morning with the fizzing and that. It's just dead out there. It is an absolutely lovely morning down here, really nice place to be. But yeah, no more fish. So I'm going to start packing up now. I've got to be off in an hour or so and moving on to the next place, which is going to be for another video. But for now, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe to the Trakker channel and leave a comment if you've got any questions or anything like that, and I'll try and get back to you. All right, I'll see you next time.